Hello, my name is Roisin Blackwell.
I'm 19 and I'm the youngest of five. I'm from Muskegon in County Limerick. I grew up in a Catholic family, went to Mass every Sunday and said the family rosary most days. I didn't go to Mass or pray the rosary because I really wanted to, but because it was the right thing to do and we were told to. When I was in second class at 8 years old, I made my first Holy Communion. I had always waited for the day that I could receive Jesus and couldn't believe that it had finally arrived. When it came to receiving for the first time, I got the most beautiful image. It was of a heart that was like the Sacred Heart, with thorns in it, but it was filled with the most beautiful flowers, and I knew that it was what my heart looked like and would look like every time I received Jesus in the Eucharist. This is an image that has stuck with me to this day and helped me through difficulties that have happened in my life. As I grew up, however, my faith remained that of a child, so I still didn't really understand my faith. This remained the case until I was 12 years old, and actually started discovering it when I met the Franciscan friars of the Renewal for the first time and was totally blown away. They were brothers and priests that were young, happy, and knew how to have fun. I got to know them fairly well, and that June they invited me to go to Camp Veritas. This is a week-long faith camp that was filled with Mass, Holy Hour, testimonies, and also activities and sports. Amazing and all as it sounded, I immediately regretted it as soon as I arrived in Gormanston and wanted to go home as soon as possible. I knew no one there and was totally out of my comfort zone. I prepared myself to have the worst week ever. As you might have guessed, I'm a small bit timid by nature, so a large boisterous crowd really intimidated me. Over the days, I met more and more young people and saw the faith truly alive in them. I was amazed constantly throughout the week between seeing what the faith truly is and meeting young people my age in it and making such close friends. It ended up being one of the most amazing weeks of my life. I remember one moment during the week when I attended my first healing service. When I was blessed with the Blessed Sacrament, I felt the most profound wave of peace come over me, and I could feel the warmth of God's love within me. A few months later, I started secondary school and went into first year. It was so different, and I had no one to share my faith with. I felt lonely and was very reserved. In second year, I began hanging out with some girls in my class. They began to make sly comments about my faith and would try to make me do things like say curse words, join in with their bullying, etc. I was able to ignore it and stand up against them until halfway through the year, when they started to bully me regarding my faith and my appearance. They would constantly make comments about what I ate and would say how fat I was and I should eat less, but if I didn't eat, then they would say I was too skinny and should eat more to look pretty. On another occasion, while waiting for class to start, they started drawing satanic symbols and drawn Satan and tried to get me to do the same. I dreaded having to go to school each morning, and many days I would tell my mum I was sick just so I could avoid going in and having to see them. Shortly afterwards, I decided I would have to move schools. I ended up moving schools, but I didn't like it and did not want to stay, but had no other choice. Everything felt totally out of my control, and I ended up getting very depressed. I would stay in my room and had no desire to do anything. I attempted self-harm and ended up forming an eating disorder. I had lost all interest in things that I used to enjoy doing: reading, art, gymnastics, and praying. This went on for a while, and at the same time, I was still going to Camp Veritas and each 1,000. Not really because of God or my faith, but just to see my friends and catch up. I would constantly put up a happy mask and act like everything was great, even though I knew it wasn't. Without even realizing it, I was searching for God's love and trying to reach out for Him. This continued for about 2 or 3 years. During all that time, the image of the heart that I'd seen in my first Holy Communion was always in the back of my mind, and I knew that it was something I wanted to get back to, but felt so lost at the time that I didn't even know where to start. By the time I got to 5th year, when I was 17, I started to accept the school and how things were, and looked for ways to try and be happier and healthier. During all of this, I hadn't seen God as actively dealing with stuff or doing anything in my life. When COVID came around and we went into lockdown, it ended up being really positive for me. From the sanctuary of my bedroom, I was able to focus on getting better and growing in my relationship with God. It was around this time as well that I got into fitness training. I was able to form a healthy relationship with food again and get active once more. Every morning, I watched Mass from Holy Family Mission with my family on the live stream, and through this, got to know God again, especially from Father Patrick's homilies. I ended up rediscovering the faith I once had as a child, but now I was beginning to understand it as a young adult. Considering the last number of years of my life, I was relieved and delighted to hear about the healing powers of confession and the strength that Jesus gives us in the Eucharist, our daily bread. When I got the chance, I applied to come here, and I started in September. So far, I'm absolutely loving it. I have made the most amazing friends, and my relationship with God has grown so much. I have no idea what his plans are for me in the future, but I know that with him, I can do all things. Thank you so much for listening to me. Please keep me in your prayers, and I will keep you all in mind. God bless.